Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. Okay, in this chapter, we'll start writing a Slate standalone program directly. Well, because this part is quite difficult. If you find it hard to follow, you can take a look, just go through it, paste the code in, and make sure it runs. Yes, this part is quite challenging. You can see that we can use this to search through the excellent code. You'll notice that just this project, we've already written 9600 lines. And the impressive thing about this search is it uses multi-threading for partitioning. A tick style. Let's think about whether this uses multi-threading. It seems this one doesn't use multi-threading. This mainly uses the partitioning. Also, for example, if, for instance, we just go bold here. Let's be bold. We'll directly work on this engine. Right here, if we hadn't done this partitioning, this kind of thinking, might just get stuck there. You see here, you will find that our place has been scanning continuously, right? So this is a kind of conflict thinking. Then let's first count how many files there are in total. After counting how many files there are, we then go through each file to see how much code it has. Of course, we will add some filtering things here. The amount here is really too large. This is the engine source code. Previously, the language source code was only a few million lines. After UE5, it's probably around over 10 million lines. At least it should be in the tens of millions. This might include some third-party libraries. Code in the statistics. Actually, you can further optimize this. You can add the deferral layer, because you'll notice that we're not running at full capacity right now. Let's open up our CPU. This is our core. You'll find we are not quite sure either which core is currently running on. It must be executing on a single thread. That should be fine, right? Then we will. Actually, there is a big and small core setting here. Sometimes when we optimize, you actually need to write some code to make it execute on the big core. If your optimization runs on the small core, then it will be a bit troublesome. Possibly, we can switch to here. We can see it should be this program. You can see its memory usage is far from enough. If we open more here, open 10 more threads to max it out. This is taking too long. Let's ignore it. Let's erase it. Look at this tape. Just leave it alone. And this part is mainly for renaming. For example, let's take the desktop. Let's open any folder. Or let's just put it on the desktop. This place is a bit risky. Let's create a new folder. Let's try not to use Chinese, okay? See, you can change its name. For example, let's add a prefix. Then let's remove a prefix. That's the idea. Add a prefix. Then go check it on the desktop. Where does this thing originate from? Actually, this mainly comes from here for us. It was just written at the time. Didn't have time to give it to everyone. Release it. And also hadn't heard about optimization. This one has been optimized somewhat. Start editing. Take a look. Ah, yes, this is it. We are inside this. But this actually hasn't been optimized. But there is actually some content. We'll talk about it again after we refactor it now. Okay, so we'll first give you a demonstration. Then, in this lesson, we will create a SlateProgram. So how do we create it? This part is the same as in the previous lesson. I will still guide you step by step to do this process again, although it is a bit repetitive. I think it is still very necessary. Here we will paste the name. Okay, paste it. Then I will just fast forward here. Alright, fast forward. Okay, we have already changed the name here. You will find that changing from this name to that name is very prone to errors. But you need to make sure it works properly after the rename. Then let's go ahead and change some things. Okay, you can see this should also be normal. Good. So what are we going to change next? We need to run some configurations for this program. So here, we first configure its target.cs. Let's configure its target.cs first. So here, let's try it out. This part is about some rules. We need to try it out. We'll leave this length module as it is. We need to add a solution directory. Here, we put it in this program location. Then let's take a look at this. Then we put this binary file in this location. Put it in this small gram programs. Then at this point, we take its additional modules. We need to add this module. Yes, add this module. That is, there is a module. We need to add it in. Yes, and at the same time, we do not use this developer tool. And we also do not compile the engine. We do not compile the engine. So this part is actually useless. Don't worry about this. Just leave it here. Then we need to compile call UObject. We need to compile call UObject, and we don't need this. Take a look. We don't need this command line. Actually, turn it off. Then let's delete it. Something that doesn't exist. We don't need to compile this command. Okay. Now let's compile again. At this point, it might compile some extra things. Okay, there's an error here, right? It might be because here we still need to add something. Let's just take these things and paste in whatever we need. Then, how exactly should this be changed to be more appropriate? Actually, you can we mainly refer to this. Refer to this slate as Euler. You can just refer to these and make the changes. It's just whatever it uses inside. You use the same thing, and there's no problem at all. Then we can take a shortcut. We'll just copy and paste this whole block below. If we take a shortcut here, we'll paste it over. We can do it this way, but we still need to keep the previous stuff because we want it to move to a different location. Move it to this folder like this. Otherwise, if we scatter it here, it doesn't look very good. Then it will change in our build.cs. It is written like this, right? Then you can just copy it over. I won't copy it here. I'll just copy it to the one I wrote myself. First, in the build.cs file, we include this path. Okay. Then we take this privately included module. We'll just remove all of it. Let's ignore it for now. Include all these private modules. After including them, here, this module, this slate, this is a module of that slate reflector. Let's stop and come in this place. It seems to write this dynamic module. Okay, and then here, if we are on Win64, we also included this thing. This module might be some modules related to ways. Then we need to include this. It mainly needs to include this header file. So it has to be done like this. Good. So roughly, build.cs, we need to import these modules and then add some information like this. Then let's take a look at this target CS. We've already fixed it. Obviously, we wrote it in the wrong place, right? So how do we handle writing it in the wrong place? It's actually easy to handle. We'll just cut it directly. Take a look. It's like we wrote it in the wrong place. We'll cut it out. We can just do an in-place replacement. We'll cut the previous part back. The code here, we won't let it change. Okay, now let's compile both of them. We must ensure it compiles successfully. Since you've imported many modules here, it needs to recompile these imported modules. This part is quite fast. Anyway, we generally don't use source engine development because it's very slow. Also, once you modify the source code, many things have to change, especially during multi-person collaboration. Usually, it's large companies, at least mid-sized or large companies, that have an engine department. They specialize in customizing the engine. Then you just need to get their compiled engine, and you can work with it. Their engine will have regular releases and such. That's generally how it works. Okay, this side should look like it's compiled without any issues. There's an error here, right? Let's take a look at what the error is. Let's ignore this error for now, this place. That's right, actually, look at this prompt. It probably means it didn't find it. The entry point of this main function, it means we still need to change a few things. In this place, we have it's very obvious. In this course, are we doing cross-platform? So we'll set this platform, click it to make it this desktop one. Let's compile it again. At this point, it will still have some issues because we haven't actually written the content inside yet. Then you can refer to this Slate as UI because I also wrote it based on that. And actually when it comes in from here. It needs to come in from here. It needs a function like this. So how do we do it? We won't change this part. We mainly modify this part, and then these things in front of us, we all remain unchanged. Then we will directly replace this with that here. Yeah, we will directly change this to that. Okay. Then obviously this thing here might lose the initialization parameter. So how do we handle this? Initialization work. Actually, we can just use this here. You can see it passes this parameter. Then initialization can be done this way. So we initialize it like this here. We can copy these over. Okay, let's go back to our part. So our initialization here actually looks like this. And here, this is what we are using. Get v command W. We are using this one. Let's first make sure it compiles successfully. Why does it have a 1? You will notice because when we were discussing the third-party library earlier, we mentioned the issue with command 6.
Right.
That is, when we include some native Windows components, it may cause you to need to use this variant. Therefore, see it compiled successfully. Then let's start it up here. We haven't written any code yet. We still don't. No issues either. Okay, we'll stop here for this lesson. We mainly set up the Slater environment. For everyone, we mainly followed this SlateCore to set it up for UI, and we only have Windows. So we'll start writing the code. From this windmill. Okay, let's set, okay,